you so much for having me back for a secondary presentation. 'Tis I, your Vice President of Human Resources, Reagan Pryor, here with some more advice on the future of the company. And so today we're going to look at performance standards and performance appraisals and my particular strategy for this company to achieve success in performance standards. So the first thing we're going to talk about is ways in which we are going to distribute the performance standards, the appraisal standards that we have. Because it's important that employees understand and know what those standards are in crystal clear terms and how they can meet them. And so the first thing we're going to look at is I'm going to definitely try to implement some kind of employee training and workshop, something that allows these employees, the minute they're on board, to begin learning what the organization, what the standards are. And we're not going to make them crazy, obscure, unclear messages. It's going to be crystal clear. We're going to communicate through the training how to meet those standards. And then we're going to make sure that in the workplace we put reminders everywhere of what the standards are so that there's no room for excuse if someone doesn't meet those standards, that everyone will know what they are. We're also going to do a lot of newsletters and memos. We can have emails. We can use physical letters. We can post them on a big visual display where it's easy to find them, anything that people regularly look at in our company. This way our new hires understand exactly what our standards are, and if there's any changes in them, they'll know right away. So we're going to also focus on effective downstream communication. So we're going to really emphasize that if someone has a standard or there's a requirement of the job, we want to make sure our managers are letting the employees know right away what they are so that there aren't any questions. And if there are questions, there'll be answers right away as quickly as possible. We want to make sure everyone knows what the standards are, and we'll have regular meetings to communicate these standards as well. Regular interactions between supervisors and associates. Okay, so those are avenues to disseminate the performance standards. Next, we're going to look at evaluating employee performance. Basically, we're going to look at how we can see how our employees are actually meeting or not meeting the standards, how we know for a fact. So we want to make sure the data is in metric form, that it's easy to understand, easy to measure, not something obscure. But for example, if our standard is to produce 12 items of a product, then 11 falls short, 13 is above average. Something that's easy to measure. We'll have surveys and also inspections regularly, so we know we get the data of who is performing well and who needs improvement. We're going to have a clear and objective rating scale, so nothing that is confusing or hard to read, something that's easy to understand, like 1 to 10 is an easy scale, or 4 out of 5 stars, something that makes sense. And the most important thing that studies routinely have shown is that we need to communicate as quickly as possible how our employees can improve. So if they're not meeting the standards, we need to constantly be in communication of what to do to improve. Otherwise, there's no possibility that the performance will improve quickly, and there's a chance that it may not improve at all. So the last thing we're going to look at is addressing the employee performance. So if they met our standards or if they didn't meet those standards. And so if they meet the standards, I believe, and I stated this in my last video, but I believe that adequate employee compensation and timely raises are important for retention, but they also improve motivation. So if someone does a good job, they need to be seen and rewarded for it. And there should be opportunities in the company to move up. Something like internal hiring is an example of the kind of opportunities that could be present. And also freedom over the schedule and control liberties. If someone is routinely showing up on time and doing their work well and overperforming, then they should be able to have more freedom over their schedule, and they should be able to take more control, more liberties in the company because they have shown that they're reliable and that they have the best interest of a company at heart. And then if someone isn't meeting those standards, we need to be able to communicate how to improve, and that goes back to the whole feedback idea, which is that we need to let people know as quickly and as clearly as possible how to improve their performance. And finally, we need to communicate that if they aren't meeting the standards and we're unable to help them, if we can't meet them where they are, bridge the gap, they need to understand that continuous failure to meet the job standards could lead to disciplinary actions such as an up to job termination. So those are my strategies for employing performance standards, evaluating the employee performance, and addressing the employee performance. And my references are here. I looked at a few studies on quality management and performance appraisal. So I once again want to thank you for this honorary position, and I look forward to seeing you at our next team meeting.